Hey, BiggerPockets community, Pace Morby here, and today in 2023, I am going to show you how to steal my plan. As of right now, my company owns a little over 1,800 cash flowing properties. That's a mix between multifamily, single family, and even mobile home parks. We've got mobile home parks down in Yuma, bunch in Yuma, got some in Phoenix, Arizona, a lot of single family properties there, single families in Texas, big multifamily down in Houston, 500 plus multifamily, right here in one of the weirdest places ever, Springfield, Illinois, where Abraham Lincoln was born and raised, his hometown, Springfield, Illinois. We own 260 units there. In Charlotte, we have 408 units. Up here in the Research Triangle between Durham and Winston-Salem, we have another 192 units. We have a pretty established company, but it wasn't always that way. In fact, I started with a game plan. And today we're going to talk about the 5 things you can do to steal my game plan and get to where I am and way, way, way further. Step number 1 to steal my game plan is you've got to start with choosing your market. Now, when I first started out, I chose Arizona. Now, Arizona is pretty obvious because that's where I live. But what about you? What if you live in Billings, Montana, or let's say Cheyenne, Wyoming? Are those great markets for you to start in? Well, I'm not sure, but I have 3 things that I always follow when I choose a market. Does the growth, right? Population growth, people having babies, people moving there, are people migrating from New York down to Florida? Yes, go look at the data. Where can I go find the data? It's on the Census Bureau. So the Census Bureau will show you what areas, what counties are growing at least 0.8% per year. Start there. Second thing, local laws. Now, you're going to get into step number 2 of stealing my game plan, where we talk about strategies. Not all strategies are legal in certain states. Illinois, right here, state of Illinois, guess what, guys? This state of Illinois does not love wholesaling. You can only wholesale if you're a licensed real estate agent. So you've got to understand your local laws. If you don't want to become a licensed real estate agent and you want to wholesale in Illinois, well, maybe that's not the right market for you. Understand your local laws. Number 3, have a vision. So for me, the vision I have is owning properties in warm markets. I feel the warmth from when I stand in my portfolio. I don't think about the cold. And so for me, most of the areas I'm looking at, as long as the local laws line up with what I want, the population is growing, I look at areas like Florida, kind of the whole entire Sun Belt states, Arizona, anywhere that I really, truly like to visit. That is my vision. And that is ultimately how you choose a market. Part 2 of stealing my plan is choosing a strategy. So once you've picked your market, for me, when I started, it was Arizona. Could be you, anywhere. Could literally, if you want to go to Bismarck, go to Bismarck. These are the 3 ways I tell people you can make money in real estate: wholesaling, fixing and flipping, or buying and holding. Now, if you're going to wholesale, going back to step number 1 of stealing my plan, Illinois does not like wholesale. Now, in Arizona as well, Arizona has just recently added laws that if you are a wholesaler in Arizona, you have to tell your seller you are planning on wholesaling their property. Otherwise, your contract is null and void. So understanding local laws in step number 1 is very, very important as you're coming in and choosing your strategy. Wholesale is really great for beginners. You can do wholesale JVing, right? Jamil talks about astro flipping. You can wholesale with no money out of your pocket, no marketing expenses. It's one of the easiest, lowest hanging fruit that you can get your hands on a deal right now. Fixing and flipping, this is very contingent upon your resources. Do you have great contractors? I think a great contractor in fixing and flipping is way more important than a good deal, because a good deal can be turned bad by a bad contractor. So before you even worry about finding fix and flips, get referrals of great contractors, go talk to them, and make sure you have a contractor lined up so you can go find fix and flips. Now, for me, when I'm starting out, I would not suggest people go and do fix and flips as a brand new investor. I would suggest people go and do buy and hold as a new investor, because even though you have a 9-to-5 job, you can buy and hold very easily, right? There's property managers, somebody else can do all the work for you. This is now 90% of what I do, but when I first started out, wholesaling was 90% of what I did. When you start out, you got to kind of know yourself. What's your budget? What are you trying to do? And ultimately that leads into number 3 in stealing my game plan is you've got to pick your marketing strategy. Where the heck are these houses coming from? How am I going to get my hands on my wholesale deals, my fix and flips, or my buy and hold? Well, there's really only 5 major ways that you can get your hands on deals. And it starts with direct to seller, which is my primary choice. I prefer to go direct to the seller. And I'll give you guys some lists and some strategies to do, but it's very vast. What do I mean by that? There are so many different strategies to direct to seller. You can call them, you can text them, you can door knock, you can do postcards, bandit signs, billboards, TV, radio, SEO like Facebook ads, PPC, and the list goes on and on and on. Some of those cost money, right? You want inbound leads, you can go spend money and get sellers to call you directly. Motivated sellers can call you directly. Number 2, direct to agent. This is something that Jamil Damji teaches a lot of, is direct to agent. Now, I do this probably 20% of my business today, but direct to agent, now you have to work with an agent. And when you're brand new, sometimes brand new investors have a really hard time having conversations with agents who are more educated than they are. For me, I find when brand new investors are starting out, if they go direct to seller, the sellers know less about real estate than the brand new investor. And so it's an easier conversation and not so intimidating. 3, referrals. One of my favorite deal sources is probate attorneys, financial advisors, insurance salesmen. These people know other people who are buying and selling houses. And so I can get referrals for my fix and flips, my wholesales, or my buy and holds. Number 4, auctions or on market. I call this on market because an auction, even though it's not represented by an agent, you have auctions that you can go online right now, get a deal on foreclosure.com. You can go to sheriff sales. You can go to tax lien sales. All of these are some sort of auction that are all publicly available information. You can go get your hands on a deal right now. And number 5, this is probably the most slept on strategy, is go work for somebody. Think about all the real estate investors like me. We have a team of nearly 20 people for our investment company. Wouldn't it be great to go and work for somebody like Pace or Jamil or Henry Washington or David Green and be on their team and get to see the ins and the outs and what do they eat for lunch? You know, why does David Green eat granola and Diet Coke for every lunch? I don't know. I got to know. Working for somebody shows you their marketing strategies, shows you how they handle and maneuver during market ups and downs. So going and working for somebody and having a guaranteed paycheck is one of the fastest ways you can get into the real estate business. That's part 1, part 2, and part 3, steps 1, 2, and 3 on stealing my plan. Let's get to number 4. All right, number 4 to stealing my plan is learn how to comp and or underwrite. Now, there is a difference between comping and underwriting. People use these words interchangeably. Comp is to compare. Now, technically, you're always comparing everything, no matter what you're looking at. But typically what I look at is comping is single family homes. I'm comping a single family home. It's very simple. I look at a house in a neighborhood that sold within the last 6 months, and I compare it to the house that I'm looking at, and those are comparables, right? Comping, comparables, comping, comparables, single family. I do not talk about creative finance or multifamily and say comp. I never comp a multifamily deal. I never comp a creative finance deal. I'm underwriting a creative finance deal or underwriting a multifamily deal, because a comp is about what sold and the price it sold for. Underwriting is about the financials underneath the deal, right? Underwriting. I want to look at all the details. I want to look at all the numbers. So underwrite. Now, as you're learning this, which is one of the most valuable skills you can acquire, you've got to look at 35 to 50 addresses before you can get a deal every single week. I'd say about 30 days. If you looked at 35 to 50 addresses every single week for 30 days, it's impossible for you not to get a deal. Step number 5 in stealing my plan is what I believe the most important, and that is acquiring key relationships along the way. You need a good title and escrow company or a closing attorney, depending on what state you're in. If you're in North Carolina, South Carolina, I know a great closing attorney. If you're in Atlanta, I know an amazing closing attorney. And all of these other states, I know closing attorneys and title and escrow companies. That's because I'm doing deals in those areas. You cannot do deals without a great title and escrow company. One of the things I talk about in the BiggerPockets book, Wealth Without Cash, you guys can go order this down below. By the way, there's really great video freebies when anybody pre-orders that book before May 2nd. One of the things I talk about is the relationship in title and escrow that taught me creative finance. Eileen Brown was one of the most instrumental relationships I've ever added to my business. Because of her, it created a domino effect that changed thousands of people's lives because of this one little thing. Okay, number 2, wholesalers. They're the ones that are going out, knocking doors, cold calling, doing all these things. You need wholesalers that are going out and getting off-market deals. They need to be your friends. You need to go play golf with them, go grab lunch with them, go whatever you got to do. Agents, same thing. Go find real estate agents. Now, your title company will know wholesalers because the wholesalers are opening escrow there. And your title company will also know how to pull a list of the most active real estate agents in your market. Go find the real estate agents that are actually doing deals, and your title and escrow company can actually pull a list of the most active agents on listings and most active agents on buyers. You're going to need a contractor. Even if you're doing buy and hold, even if you're doing wholesale, definitely if you're doing fix and flip, you need a great contractor. Guess what? Title and escrow is going to refer you to wholesalers. Wholesalers and agents are going to refer you to a great contractor. Contractors a lot of times can make or break a deal. All right, go get a contractor. And then along the way, guess what else? Title and escrow has been able to give me some of my very, very best hard money lenders and private money lenders, because when a wholesaler or an agent does a deal, typically there is a contractor involved and there's hard money and private money involved, and they all go to the title and escrow company. The title and escrow company is the hub of all the relationships. They all come together and they do a deal together, right? Escrow is all in one place, or closing attorneys all handle these relationships. Go build those relationships, and then you're ready to steal my plan. So now in the last couple of minutes of this video, I want to tell you what my plan is to go across the country. When I first started, remember, I started in Arizona because I lived there. I started with wholesale. I focused on a very specific list. I'm looking for motivated sellers. Now, motivated sellers nowadays, the list that I'm primarily calling on, let me give you that list right here. I'm calling on low equity. We are direct to seller, okay? Direct to seller meaning we're cold calling, we're texting, we're sending out mail, we've got SEO. I'm direct to seller. I go after low equity and I go after expired listings, and I'm going after houses that were purchased in 2018 to 2021. Now, why? Because my main game plan is buying houses subject to. I'm taking over mortgages as my main category of purchases, and I am buying and holding. Now, that's not how I started. I started in Arizona, direct to seller. I started wholesaling. Probably 90% of the deals I was doing, I would wholesale, 10% of them I would fix and flip. When I started acquiring more cash and building a team, I then felt comfortable to network and go to other seminars. And as I went to seminars, guess where I made my friends? I made my first set of friends in Atlanta, Georgia. So surprise, surprise, when I was ready, because some of these lists that I'm calling on are very niche lists, very small, a couple hundred people every single month is the only amount of people that are on this list. I've got to branch out. If I want to keep calling on that list, I've got to branch out and start doing more. So I started doing 90% wholesale here, 10% fix and flip here. At the end of my first year, I started acquiring properties, and I started acquiring single family homes. Why would I focus on single family homes? Now, a lot of people will ask me, Pace, why should I do single family before multifamily? Guys, personally, there is a group of people that I think it's okay for you to jump into multifamily, but primarily there's way more moving parts, way more requirements. The players in multifamily are way more savvy. And if you fail big time. In single family, if I'm going after this list, creative finance, I can go slow and steady. I can get fixed debt without having to go raise a lot of money. And I can get small base hits over and over and over. And so in year one, I went from Arizona, then I opened up to Atlanta. Then I started opening up into Dallas. That was my third market. Why did I open up in Dallas? Well, because I started getting key relationships. The more seminars I went to, the more I spent in the BiggerPockets forum, I started creating relationships. I then went and started doing deals in Denver. And now that compounded into year 3. Okay, now by this time I own 20, 30 rentals. And I start going into Florida. Really, you can see my little bubbles here. Clearwater down in this area, Miami or West Palm Beach, Orlando. I really started loving Florida, so I started doubling down. Now, Texas, my relationships here started to compound. I went down to Houston, went to Austin, San Antonio, and then because I had all these other properties in these other areas, I started getting deals sent to me in other areas. I own 45 units in San Angelo, Texas, which I normally would not have bought in if I didn't have local resources in these other areas. My market now is all over. You'll see these pins. Look at my pins. I've got Springfield, Indianapolis. I've got a lot of North Carolina, South Carolina. We've even got deals up in Boston. And this week, we bought our first Alaska deal in Anchorage, and we got our first Hawaii deal on the main island of Hawaii. All of these are purchased subject to. So that is my primary strategy, using this list in every single market that I expand to. Our goal by 2025 is to be in the 18 cities we're in now. Our goal is to be in all 50 states, using the same template, acquiring relationships, going after very specific niche list of low equity expired listings, originated in 2018 to 2021. Now, if you guys want a more in-depth education, please go and pre-order the book, Wealth Without Cash, BiggerPockets.com/Wealth Without Cash. And not only do you get the book, which is pretty cool, but if you go in the back, you'll see that there's a QR code. And this QR code is going to give you all sorts of video content where I actually close a seller. The seller that we bought this home in Haverhill, Massachusetts, came into my studio. Let me show you this. This is kind of cool. We just filmed this. Came into my studio in my home, and the seller walked down right here. And as I was creating this video content, the seller stood right here for an hour, and I broke the whole entire sub-2 process down for that seller. The only people that will ever see that video are the people who buy this book. So go down, link in the description down below. Make sure you guys subscribe to BiggerPockets. It's amazing they hit 1 million subscribers. I'm sure they'll get 2 million, 3 million, and they will continue to be the place with the most value on YouTube and on podcasting in the real estate world. Thank you so much for listening to me today. And if you guys want to hear more from me, make sure you let BiggerPockets know in the comments down below.